Did you guys know that you can use Unifi Design Center to plan your camera placement in your projects? Well, you can. And so today I thought I would focus on showing you guys a little bit about how to use that tool for that purpose. I actually have a project that I'm working on for another client, and I thought I would just bring you guys along for the ride. So if that is something that interests you and you're thinking about putting cameras, Unifi cameras specifically, in your new home, well, come along for the ride and let me show you how to plan your placement. Hey guys, welcome to Ethernet Blueprint. My name's Tim Trich. Welcome to the channel. I apologize right away if my voice sounds a little bit different. I've been fighting a cold, which is why I didn't do this video a couple days ago, because I've been trying to let my voice come back. But anyway, we're here today, and so this video might be a little bit more raw than what you guys are used to, because I'm gonna kind of do it live with you. So the deal is I have a client that I'm helping design the Wi-Fi in their home, and they've expressed some interest in cameras. And so what I want to do is I want to use the Design Center tool to place those cameras just like I do for Wi-Fi, so I can show the client the coverage and kind of get a feel of how many cameras we're going to need to cover this sort of area. Now, for me personally, I like to talk to the client and just find out what is important to them. Everybody's a little different when it comes to cameras. Some people have cameras everywhere, and they like them indoor cameras, outdoor cameras. They want to cover every little nook and cranny of the property. This particular client really lives pretty far out in the country, wants to be able to cover some of the entry points in their home, maybe the driveway a little bit, but they're not really looking to have every little area covered. They really kind of want to use it as a deterrent. Hey, there's a camera there, I better not go in the door. And so we're going to use that information today in Design Center, sort of live, because I haven't done this yet. This is the first time I've actually put these cameras on the map, and I'll talk through it with you guys, and we'll see if we can figure out what the best game plan was. So let's go ahead and get started doing that. Guys, as always, like or follow, leave comments, questions that you have. I love working with you guys in the comments and answering questions and hearing your stories. You guys do a really great job. I have the best community because you guys do just a really awesome job with sharing your stories or even correcting things that I get wrong, because nobody's perfect out here, guys. I've never claimed to be. And when you're recording something live like this, it's really easy to say the wrong thing. So you guys keep me on my toes, you keep me honest, but really, most of all, you share your stories, and I appreciate it. So, guys, don't be shy. Leave comments. Share the videos with your friends. If you know anybody doing a project, I'm here to help. That's what this is all about. So, let's go ahead and get started. We'll move over in Design Center, and I'll kind of walk you through what I go through when doing it for a client. All right, let's go. Okay, guys, so we're going to move over into Design Center here. I want to just kind of show you around just a little bit. But keep in mind, this is not going to be a deep dive into using the tool. I do have another video where I show people really how to get started in Design Center, how to create their heat maps with Wi-Fi, and it is really a better starting point if you're very, very new to Design Center. This is going to assume you know a little bit about it, or maybe that you've already watched that video, and I'll link a link. I'll put a link to the description of that video in this one so you can get to it quickly. Now, today we are going to focus on cameras. I've used the tool already to kind of plan my Wi-Fi, so you can see I got my walls drawn in and my access points in place. If I hover over the Wi-Fi access points, you can see they'll blast some Wi-Fi stuff. So you guys might see some of that stuff as we're moving things around. Just I wanted you to be ready for it. And like I mentioned earlier, the client here is really just looking for what I would call some basic camera coverage. We're not looking to cover every little nook and cranny of the property, and if we were, I want to kind of point out right now one of the challenges. You can see this house kind of tucks in and goes out, tucks in and goes out, tucks in and goes out. I mean, that can be really hard to get camera coverage in, because almost every one of these little nooks, if you wanted to cover them, they would require their own camera, because camera coverage just doesn't turn corners very well, right? So I'm kind of relieved that they're not looking to do that. This, like I mentioned, this is a rural property. It's out in the countryside. It's more of an acreage style property. There's really heavily wooded area around this property, and so you can't even see it from the road, which is cool. They're just looking for, hey, if someone does come down our private driveway, you know, we want to be able to capture some things. We also don't want people out there snooping around, and our goal is that they'll see we have cameras and be like, I'm not going to do anything. So I want to give you a little bit of the lay of the land, and then we'll start dropping some cameras in here. So this is a really rural private house. It's like a forest around this house. So there's a very private driveway that you could almost miss from the road, which is a good thing if you like your privacy. And that you're going to come in way over here, and you're going to drive. And it's really kind of way over here, big long driveway, and it kind of loops out and it comes up to the garage, and then there's a circle part of it here where you can kind of come back out and leave the property. So that's where cars are going to enter. So we want to kind of keep that into our mindset as we're placing cameras. And then I want to talk about your entry points. So I'm going to zoom in for that. All right, so we have a front door here, so we're going to definitely make sure we want to be covered there. After walking the property and talking through a couple things, you know, driveway coverage was important, which I think is good. The backyard here, wasn't really concerned about, you know, the backyard per se. This is a deck, by the way, here. I can't remember if I mentioned that. So, you know, we're going to put a camera back here just to make sure nobody's peeking in windows, or, you know, maybe they hopped the fence or something. So we definitely want camera protection back there, but we weren't really too concerned about it. So there's a couple different ways we can handle that, and we'll talk about that here shortly too. And then over here on the front, this is our front door. So we're going to put a doorbell camera there shooting straight out. And it's not really illustrated here, but walking up to the front door is a wood decking sort of setup, right? There's a lot of landscape in this part of the house, and so there's decking built around it you actually walk up a deck with a railing to get up to the front door here. So one of the things we kind of talked about as I zoom out here was, you know, being that the driveway is way back here and we're going to have some coverage for people who are already in the driveway, what about if we shot a camera kind of towards the front? Yeah, you're not going to get every little detail of everything, but you're going to see the car coming up, you know, and then you're going to kind of get him in two spots, coming and going. So this deck kind of shoots straight out here, and there's some railing here. I thought about just putting a camera shooting out that direction, towards that driveway, kind of shooting out here. So we'll talk through that. The only other entryway point is in the basement, and that is this door right here. So we'll actually have something shooting straight out towards this way as well. All right, so there's your tour, guys. Let's go ahead and start dropping some stuff in here. So I'm going to zoom out here. I think it makes it a little easier to kind of picture. And let's go ahead and start our area on the front driveway area. So we talked about there's an entry point here. So let's go ahead and put a camera there. Now, for doors that are not front doors that don't need a doorbell, I like the G5 Ultra Dome. I think it's a really nice dome camera. It's small, it's subtle, but yet at the same time, you're going to see it, and putting that over a doorbell or over a doorway entrance, that there's nobody's going to ring a doorbell for this entrance. It's kind of the side entrance to the house. So let's go ahead and place a device. To do that, we're going to click on Place Devices. And here's all of our things that we can place. So we're going to click in Security and Cameras. And we're going to go ahead and choose the G5 Dome. So as you can see, as I'm bringing that guy out here, I got this little camera. And I can click once, and it allows me to... So I could just drop these wherever I wanted them. So we're going to do this one at a time, just so you guys know. I'm not really going to... we're going to talk through the process. That's the whole point. So I'm going to just drop one here. We're going to move it over into that area, and just watch as I bring it in. You'll see eventually it goes away. Now it's on the inside. See how this is? It's on the inside of that wall. So just kind of keep in mind, you want to just move it out just enough to where it's shooting out, right? That way we know it's going the right direction. Okay, so as you look here, we got our driveway looping around. They're going to come right into camera view. When they park their car, or if they loop around the driveway and kind of loop in here, you're going to see those cars. That's a really kind of a multi-benefit of this camera. It doesn't have to do all the work, but it's going to help you do some of the work. So we're going to have our camera down here, which we'll get to shortly. You're going to have your doorbell camera, and you're going to see a car once it parks in the driveway over here. So we really are covering the entryways of the house. Next, I want to cover this front area here. So let's go ahead and add another camera. Now, one of the things I like to do for longer areas to cover is to use a better camera. So in this case, I'm going to recommend that he use one of the Pro Series 4K cameras. And there's a couple different versions of them. He doesn't want AI and all that stuff, so we don't need the AI Pro or spend money on that. But I'm probably going to recommend like the G5 Pro camera because it is 4K. It is shooting a farther distance, so as you have nicer resolution, you can see more details when they're farther away, and I think that's important. Plus, I just like having a nicer camera in my driveway, you know, detecting things like that are cars. And the G5 Pro Series is going to have some form of AI built in. It's going to know if it's looking at a person, it's going to know if it's looking at an animal or a vehicle or, you know, things of that nature. So there is some AI qualities in it. So we're going to go ahead and put a G5 Pro in the front here. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of put that here. Now I could put it clear on the corner, but then again, now it's got to shoot even farther. So to me, since you're going to be walking back here, I want to catch these guys right here. So I'm going to place that camera, drop this guy, we don't need him, and I'm going to just turn this way. So now we're really shooting out. And between these two cameras, we got even a little bit of overlap here. We're really going to catch any car going in, and we're going to have a higher quality camera, even more high quality than the Dome, that's going to help us pick up license plates and things of that nature. So I really do like that aspect for a driveway. I think it's going to work better for him. Now, some of these are just easy, right? So you got a doorbell. So I like the G4 Pro. We're going to hardwire this doorbell. So we're going to go ahead and put a G4 Pro here. So like I mentioned, the front door is like right here. So I'm going to click him and drop out of the tool. Just right click there. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you guys can kind of see a little bit better. And we'll go ahead and get this placed a little bit better. We're just going to shoot him straight out. There really is no reason to turn him to the side or anything. It just doesn't make sense. He's going to shoot straight out. Now, since we're kind of in this area, you are going to get some of that private driveway covered with your G4. You are. Now, this is just an HD camera, I believe. And so, you know, it's not going to be as high a resolution as your 2Ks or 4K cameras. It's really meant to catch someone walking up to your door. And so I think that's why Ubiquiti did that. It's not meant to catch things from far, far away. Although it will see those things. It's not going to come into view clearly until they get closer. So like I mentioned, there's that deck we talked about. And so what I talked about with the client when we were walking around was, let's maybe put a G4 hidden, like a turret camera, something small and hidden. We'll just run a wire out there and it'll be very subtle, almost kind of like a hidden camera that we can hide out there and shoot and catch cars coming in too in a little bit better resolution. So unfortunately with the picture, we're going to have to use our imagination. The front deck isn't drawn like the back deck is, so we're going to have to use our imagination, but we'll go ahead and just kind of put that in there and I'll just kind of show you what I'm thinking here. So this comes straight out. I'm guessing it's going to be about right here. So now I want to cover this, right? So I want to cover this, whoops. And so now if you kind of zoom way out, right, you got your driveway coming in, you're going to see cars coming in. They're going to go out of frame. They're going to leave the frame, but then they're going to come right back into frame. So, you know, that way you're kind of catching people coming and going and be easier to be able to see a model of a car. So I like that. I think we got the front covered pretty well. That stays within the confines of what we're trying to accomplish with this project. So let's move over to the backyard. We're going to get the rest of these cameras placed, and then we'll talk about some costs. We'll talk about some cable planning and wrap this thing up for you guys. So this, like I mentioned, I'll zoom in here a little bit. This is a back deck area. And so it's a pretty wide area, guys. There's a lot of space to cover in this area. So there's really two ways you can look at doing it. You could do a nicer camera like we did over here in the driveway. We could do a nicer camera, a 4K camera. It's just going to shoot farther and give you that clearer picture in case someone was over here, you know, peeking in one of the windows over there. At least you can kind of do a better job of making out, you know, details about the intruder. Or what I recommend, and what I'm going to recommend in this case, is actually doing 2 cameras pointed towards each other. So you got that kind of cross coverage. That way, if someone walks in on one side, they're walking towards one camera as they're walking away from another one, and vice versa. So you're kind of covered from both sides. If we just put one in and they happen to be walking away from the camera, you're going to get a great view of the back of their head, which sucks. So I think in this case, I'm going to recommend we shoot one each direction. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. We'll pop over here. Now guys, keep in mind, I'm not a camera expert here at all, right? So there's guys that do this all day, every day. If you are a camera expert, guys, leave comments. Rip me up. I'm fine with that. I'm not saying roast me. This is not that. But at the end of the day, I'm always here to learn. I'll never sit here and be the guy who says I can't learn anything. I learn stuff from you guys all the time. So by all means, go ahead and leave some comments and tell me what you would have done different. Just keep in mind, some of this is about the budget of the customer, right? So that's the way I look at it. So we're going to go ahead and put a couple of these bullet cameras in. Now you can't see it on here. There's a tree here, so we got to make sure where we put the camera will really kind of be based on where that tree is, because we don't want to be right behind it, obviously. But I think this gives you a really nice option to, cover the back area of your house, and you're going to get that cross section. Now, cost-wise, in all honesty, it's not a big deal, because the G4 or G5 Pro is like $379, and these G5 bullets are $129. So you can buy 2 of them for the cost of a Pro, and really, in my opinion, expand your coverage. You're getting 2 2K cameras for the cost of, for the same cost as 1 4K camera, and I think you're going to get better coverage, which is why I like doing it this way. The last camera we want to talk about is our basement camera. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll move down here. Now, I know it's right here, and this is not a door that someone would come and knock on. It's more of a side entrance into the house. So we don't really, we wouldn't put a doorbell here or anything silly like that. So I like a dome camera above the door. It's visible. It's going to be kind of shooting down, so you can get a picture of someone as they're coming to, if they were to walk up to that door mistakenly, or they're snooping or whatever. But it's not really going to, it's going to be shooting out and down. So typically that's what I like to put over here. So we'll go ahead and just put one of the G5 domes in there. We'll drop it in, and I'm just going to exit out of the tool, spin this around, and now we just know that we have a camera shooting that way. So you can see the basement, not all the basement, it has flooring above it. Now, I could put that on this main floor and have all the cameras in one place. That's a personal preference, guys. It's up to you on that. If I wanted to put the camera here shooting outward so I could show all the cameras in one shot at the same time, you can do that. Just kind of mentally know that that's going to be downstairs, though. We could absolutely do that. And then it kind of gives you that purview that we're talking about. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to actually remove this camera here. Remember, we're just kind of spitfiring as we go. And let's go ahead and add the camera here. So let's get down to the G5 dome. We'll put it right here. Exit out of the tool. If my thing would let me do that. Sometimes it doesn't let me do that with my mouse. There we go. Oh, I placed a whole bunch of them. There we go. Okay, so we'll spin this way. And we'll put it right here. So even though it's not going to go on this floor, you're able to take this and kind of look to see where your dead spots are. So kind of a nice deal. So this is our coverage. This is what we're going to talk about. And this is where we're going to need cables pulled. So they haven't got to the low voltage aspect of the cabling here. And so this is what we're going to talk about. Now, I will mention to the client that this is sort of a dead spot up here. And maybe he'll want to at least pull a cable up there to be able to add a camera later if he ever decided to. Potentially, we could give ourselves a pathway to be able to add cables whenever we want. But it just kind of depends. Every project's a little bit different. So I'll talk to him about that. Again, a lot of people will look at it as, well, if it's just, $129 for that, and maybe it's $250 to get a drop over there, in the big scheme of thing of what this project's going to cost, let's at least get the cable there, and if I decide I want to add a camera, great. Or maybe he wants to do a Ring doorbell, and we're just going to go off the Wi-Fi, which this apartment has great Wi-Fi, or will have a great Wi-Fi when we're done. So not a problem there, but this is kind of our coverage, and it gives you that purview. I think we're pretty good here, in all honesty. And these are mostly 2K cameras. The only one that's only HD and 1080p is the doorbell, I believe is. And doorbells aren't meant to be able to see things really far away. They're going to really try and start recording people as they're walking up to your door to ring the doorbell or leave a package. That's really what their focus is for. So they're not designed to shoot super far away. But I think this is going to give us good coverage, and I think we'll be in good shape. We're going to just pull a cable to each one of these locations. We're just going to dangle a cable out of the wall. These are all pretty much going to be side-mounted cameras, so we're just going to hang a cable out of the wall where we want to put the camera. Give ourselves a little bit extra. I always recommend 15 inches, 24 inches of extra cable. We can always snip off the extra if we need to. And the cameras themselves will actually go right over that hole. So make sure you understand that there's going to be a camera going over that. So make sure you give yourself enough space from door frames and things of that nature, because the camera will go right over the top of it and you won't even see the cable. You won't even know it's there. All these cameras are waterproof, so they're not going to get damaged from water. It's really, really great. Ubiquiti gives you some nice options. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to talk about cost. So I'm going to switch over to the cost planning scenario here and just give you an idea of how Ubiquiti helps you with that using this tool. All right, guys, so let's talk cost. So you have these other menus over here on the side, and that's where we're going to go next. So one of them right here is your equipment list. So if you use this tool to design your Wi-Fi and your cameras, it's actually going to go ahead and start totaling some things up for you. However, there's one little aspect of it that I don't like that it does, and that's if it's nice that this tells you it's out of stock, but if it's out of stock, as you can see, it's not checked, so it doesn't include it in your total. So it says we have $815 in cameras, but in actuality, we actually have around $1,100 or so. So just kind of keep in mind, it's trying to help you. It's trying to be smart. It's trying to do things that will help you put together the cost of your project. You just can't focus on these dollar amounts too much because it's not taking into account this $199 here. That's not included in that. So I wish they would just maybe leave the little identifying mark saying, hey, just so you know, this is out of stock. And still give you the option to replace it if you want to, but I wish they would allow you. I can't even check this checkbox. It doesn't even allow me to check these boxes in there. And so that's kind of a bummer. So Ubiquiti, if you're listening, please fix that. To me, it's about budgeting. It's more than about ordering from because as you can see, we can check out and just order these things right from the site and do it right from here, which is great. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, I can also just go to the website and do it when stuff's in stock, and we're planning our project, Ubiquiti, so we're not ready to buy this stuff yet. We're just planning it, okay? So it's nice to be able to plan in our total costs, not the total cost of stuff in stock. Okay, rant over, guys. But this is a nice way to be able to total up your stuff. If you did want to replace a camera or something different, you sure can. But this is, you'll have to probably get out your calculator here and actually give yourself the real total, which is cool. If you end up doing other stuff, you can place your UDM SE, you can place NVRs, you can place other products on your map, and it will actually include those so you can see what the total bill of your Ubiquiti installation is going to be. So that's kind of cool with your switches and whatnot. And I'm probably going to dedicate a separate video 100% of this, but you can actually do your cabling and kind of show how you're going to route your cables in here, and it'll help you calculate your cable lengths for you, which I think is really great too. However, it is a rough estimate because, again, going up and down, it's not going to show you that. It's just going to show you the left and right version. So it really is just an estimate, but again, a cool tool. Once they figure out how to get this to work in a scenario where it's 3D and you can kind of see all the levels, where you can kind of flip this up on its head and see the different levels, both from Wi-Fi coverage and camera coverage and all that stuff, it'll be truly amazing. And I have a feeling that day is coming, but as of today, you have to look at it very, very two-dimensional. But what I want you guys to take away from this isn't how to plan your cameras, it's how to use the tool to show you some of that planning, and I think that we accomplished that here today. So I hope this helps, guys. I look forward to keep putting these videos out for you. Again, like, follow, share, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. I have the best followers out there. We're up to 7,000 now, and I can't believe it. Thank you so much for your faith in me. I'm going to keep doing this, and I know not every video I do applies to all you guys, but I really, really do love doing this, and so we're gonna keep doing it. So thank you. Have a great 4th of July. If you're watching this right away, it's before the 4th weekend. Have a safe holiday, and we'll see you guys in a future video.